What's up, folks? How's it going? This is Waj. Hope you guys are all doing well. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Jabra's 75Ts. Now, for the past few years, my favorite true wireless headset has been the 65T Elites from Jabra's. So when I heard they're going to make a new version of those true wireless headsets, I was super excited. I've been testing these things out for the past few days. And what I want to do specifically in this video is compare them directly against the new Apple AirPod Pros that have been received tremendously well. Between these two, I don't think you can get a better true wireless headset. So we're going to go through the pros and cons about both of these to determine which one is best and which one is the ultimate true wireless headset. So if you're interested, let's get right into it. Now, firstly, let's talk about the price point on both of them. On the Apple AirPod Pros, they retail for around $250. They include a Qi wireless charging case. Now, the Jabra's 75Ts go for around $200 on the standard pricing, and the charging case is unfortunately just a standard USB-C connection, so there's no wireless charging on here. But they also recently went on sale for around $179, making it a $70 difference currently between these two, and that's a pretty big difference. Now, in terms of the design of both of these two, you can see that the AirPod Pros use basically the classic AirPod design philosophy, where you have the stem that's going to extend the microphone a little bit closer to your ear to capture your voice a little bit more clearly and accurately. We'll do an audio test between the microphones in a little bit, but essentially a lot of the commands that you're going to use to control your AirPods are going to go through Siri, so having a good microphone is super important. The look of them feel really good, and they look fairly sleek and a lot more discreet than the standard AirPods, although you still have that stem sticking out, but they don't stick out too much laterally, so they feel pretty secure in every circumstance that you're going to be in, whether you're going to be using them to work out, walk around the house, or anything like that. So great overall fit, very comfortable. They also have a pressure release valve that'll release some of the internal pressure that tends to build up in the ear canal for some people. And you also have 3 ear tip options included in the box. And Apple also has a test to determine which ear tip is best suited towards your ear. I always favor the larger earbuds based on my ear size, and the better fit you have, the better sound quality and the better passive noise cancellation experience you're going to have as well. Now, the 75Ts are deceivingly a little bit more compact looking, but they actually stick out a little bit more laterally. Although they don't have that stem design, they definitely look a little bit more discreet in the ear, and especially in this black color, look very sleek and stylish in my opinion. And there is also another titanium gray finish if you do want to get that look, versus the AirPods only come with this white finish, which is again a choice that Apple makes from an aesthetic perspective. But in terms of the fit and form function, I do prefer the 75Ts. I think they look a little bit more discreet. They fit personally in my ear a little bit more securely, especially for doing any kind of physical activity. And just the overall discreetness of the 75Ts is something I prefer compared to this thing, where it's pretty much now a trademark look that you're using an AirPod or an AirPod clone. So although this is still better than the original AirPod design, I still prefer the look of this thing in my ear a little bit better. Now moving on, let's talk about compatibility and overall wireless technology that's built inside. On the AirPod Pros, technically they're still based around Bluetooth 5, so they can work with pretty much everything out there, but they're really optimized for iOS devices since they have the H1 wireless chip enabled inside. And connected to an iOS device, the signal quality and strength and the overall integrity of the signal is super strong. You can go way beyond the 10-meter range that is recommended with both of these two and not experience any major hiccups, and definitely a stronger wireless signal thanks to that H1 wireless chip. On the 75Ts, they are both compatible with iOS and Android, as well as other Bluetooth devices. And there's an app in conjunction with 75Ts that's both available on iOS and Android. In terms of the actual signal quality, it's fairly good in terms of close-up range. If you're within 5 meters of the broadcasting device, no hiccups to really report, but past around 10 meters or 33 feet, you are going to experience some major hiccups in terms of the audio signal will cut off. Now, at rare occasions, I did experience that the left earbuds kind of cuts out for a brief moment and comes back in, and that happens very rarely, but I have experienced it on a number of occasions thus far, but perhaps there's a firmware upgrade to help with that issue. But in terms of general wireless connectivity, it's fairly solid for 98% of the time. Now, in terms of overall durability, build quality, things like that, both are very good in terms of general build quality, polycarbonate, high quality construction. In terms of the IP rating, we're looking at IPX4 rating on the AirPod Pros, and that's resistant for sweat and water resistant. Specifically, they're talking about splashes of water on the AirPod Pros. And on the 75T, we have an IP55 rating, which is technically a higher rating. It's rated obviously for dust, water, but specifically for low power jets of water being directly sprayed onto the 75T. So it's a little bit more resilient for water. Now, keep in mind that both of these two are not 100% waterproof, so you can't swim with them, get them completely immersed. That might lead to some damage internally. And the operating temperature on both of them are around -5 to +45 degrees Celsius. And in terms of the standard warranty, you're looking at a 1-year limited warranty with Apple on the AirPod Pros, versus Jabra does give you 2 years on the 75Ts. Now, one of the key differences between these two is the fact that the Apple AirPod Pros do have active noise cancellation versus we're looking at passive noise cancellation on the 75Ts. Now, they both have their transparency mode on the AirPod Pros, and we have a similar feature called hear-through mode on the 75Ts, where they basically broadcast the ambient environment through the microphones and amplify them through the internal drivers, so you're more aware of your surroundings, or if you want to talk to somebody, you don't have to take off the earbuds. And they both work to a similar fashion. Internally in the software, you can change how loud you want that hear-through or transparency mode, and definitely a handy safety feature, and definitely a convenient factor nonetheless. Now, in terms of the sound quality itself, both are rated to 20 hertz all the way to 20,000 hertz, although both have the same overall dynamic range, but there's obviously a different audio profile in the drivers themselves. The Apple AirPod Pros definitely have a much improved bass response compared to the traditional second generation AirPods. And even though they use the same driver, because the chamber is a little bit larger and we're using ear buds themselves that make a better seal, the bass response and overall sound quality is better than the standard AirPods, and definitely has an awesome high-end frequency spectrum, as well as a well-rounded and super defined mid-range spectrum. And the same goes for the 75Ts, but what the 75T has is a lot of volume, a lot of punch and power in the low end. And depending upon your personal taste, if you like low end bass frequencies, these 75Ts are one of the most powerful earbuds I've experienced ever in the low end frequency spectrum. And they really deliver a sense of low end punch that is similar to a high quality over the ear headset, something like a Beats Studio Pro or something from Audio Technica. So from a sound quality perspective, for me, it's the 75Ts all day long. I would say I would give them like a 9.5 out of 10 compared to an 8 out of 10 in terms of overall sound quality on the AirPod Pros. Now, beyond the general sound quality, we also have adaptive EQ capabilities on the AirPod Pro, since they actually have a microphone located inside, which will tune the audio specifically to your ear canal. May or may not be a good thing, typically not a good thing, especially if you want an unadulterated, un-EQ'd sound, if you're an audiophile and things like that. Now, the 75Ts, although have a fairly low-end bias straight out of the box, you can take that low end out if you want, thanks to the fact that the app has a built-in equalizer, and there's different presets if you want to use that as well. Now, before I go on any further, I just want to talk about our sponsor that made this video possible. Now, I never paid much attention to the whole manscaping thing. I have a hard time shaving the face as is, and going downstairs to do a little grooming has always never been my forte. And that was until I discovered the Lawnmower 2.0 from Manscaped. Along with the Perfect Package 2.0 kit from Manscaped, this is a no-brainer way to ensure that you look, feel, and smell great in and all the places where the sun don't shine. Now the USB rechargeable lawnmower trimmer is specially designed not to damage the family jewels. It's water resistant, TSA travel friendly, and is dead simple to use. And for a gorilla like me to have a dedicated trimmer for everything and neck down definitely makes a lot of sense, since it's kind of gross to use the same shaver on your face and body. Also, being a fairly active person, I get super sweaty in pretty much all areas, and Manscaped also supplied a crop preserver, a deodorant which has anti-chafing properties, which is going to hopefully help me perform better and make me smell less like a dead horse after a workout. Now, if you're interested in looking and feeling awesome, definitely check out manscaped.com. And if you want 20% off, free shipping, and 2 free gifts, use our promo code MWTech20 for that discount. We want to thank Manscaped for helping us make this content possible. Now, come back to our comparison at hand. Let's talk about the control interfaces on both platforms, starting with the AirPod Pros. Essentially, over here, we have a pinch sensor or force touch sensor in which you touch it and it can either pause your music, or you can also call up Siri in order to initiate a voice command. You can also say, "Hey Siri," to initiate a specific command. Much of the functionality and control interface of the AirPod Pros is dictated by voice, which is a good thing in terms of not being tied down to the AirPods itself, especially when your hands are occupied with something else. But it's a bad thing in terms of having full control over the actual AirPods themselves from a physical standpoint, since, for example, you can't actually change the volume settings without asking Siri or going down to your iPhone or your Apple Watch to physically change the volume. Now, on the Jabra's 75Ts, since they are cross-compatible with pretty much every platform out there, including Android and iOS, you do have a lot of built-in functionality within the buttons themselves. The buttons are super simple, basically a single button on the right side and a single button on the left side. And you have much of the standard commands that you'll find in a lot of true wireless headsets, such as double tapping to go to the next song, triple tapping to repeat a song. You can also hold in the both left and right to get specific functions, and you can customize those functions, whether that's recalling the voice dictation system, so that could be either Alexa, Siri, or the Google Assistant, or you could enable or disable hear-through mode on, let's say, the left side by holding it down for a brief second. Now, moving on, talk about the microphones themselves. What you're now listening to is the internal microphones of the 75Ts. Now, there are actually 4 of them. A lot of them are used to cancel out ambient noise environments in order to amplify your voice a little bit better for call quality and things like that. We're actually using a Bluetooth app to record this audio directly, and obviously phone call quality will depend upon your carrier, reception, your particular smartphone, and things like that. But let's switch over to the AirPod Pros. Okay, so now we're listening to the AirPod Pro's internal microphones, and we have 2 dual beam forming microphones on the stem itself, and it's closer to the mouth, so it should be better in terms of pickup. And again, we're using the same Bluetooth app to record it, so hopefully this gives you a little idea in terms of how both of them sound, but obviously it's going to be different in terms of actual call quality, as we mentioned before. Now, lastly, let's talk about the battery performance. The AirPod Pros with the noise cancellation and hear-through mode off will get you 5 hours of listening time, and the charging case will get you 24 hours of usage. And the 75Ts for the earbuds themselves are up to 7.5 hours of listening time. That's, of course, with the hear-through mode off. And the case itself will get you 28 hours of usage. So out of the box, looks like this thing is better in terms of battery life. And I did do a real-world test comparison. And after about 3 discharge cycles, my average time on using the AirPod Pros with noise cancellation on was about 4 hours and 12 minutes. And with the 75Ts, basically with the hear-through mode off, was about 5 hours and 31 minutes. So definitely in terms of battery life, the 75T is the clear winner. Both of them do have quick charging capabilities, so about 15 minutes of charge time will get you about an hour or so of listening experience. Now, to sum up everything I've talked about, I just want to talk about the advantages on both platforms. Now, the AirPod Pros definitely had the advantage of active noise cancellation versus passive noise cancellation on the 75Ts. It also has that pressure release valve, which will help alleviate any kind of discomfort for prolonged usage. And the H1 wireless chip is definitely a little bit more of a secure connection and a more robust connection to your iOS device compared to what I experienced with the Bluetooth connection on the 75Ts. Lastly, we do have wireless charging capabilities on the case itself versus we don't have that on the 75Ts. Now the Jabra 75Ts definitely has a lot to like. Firstly, in terms of the price point, you're looking at $70 difference right now with the sale price at around $180 versus $250 on the AirPod Pro, so definitely the better deal. It has a little bit more of a discreet profile, and it definitely looks a little bit more discreet in the ear, less obtrusive in my opinion. I just like the design a little bit better, especially in this black color than the AirPod Pros, which everyone knows you're wearing. Thirdly, it's not a big difference, but you do have a stronger IP rating, so this can withstand a little bit more abuse in terms of dust and water resistant, and you do have a 2-year warranty opposed to a 1-year warranty with Apple. Furthermore, a huge deciding factor for me personally is just the fact that they're cross-compatible. I'm always switching between iOS and Android devices, and my primary driver for my smartphone is typically an Android device, and I simply can't utilize all the features with the AirPod Pros since they're really an iOS, Apple tied down platform to begin with. So that's kind of upsetting versus this is great on iOS and pretty great on Android as well. Furthermore, the battery life on the 75Ts is definitely better than the AirPod Pros, both on the buds and on the charging case. And lastly, from an audio perspective, which is kind of the biggest reason why I would get these things, is the fact that they're so darn powerful, super loud, and very similar to a large over-the-ear can setup. So if you're looking for a really powerful sounding true wireless earbud, I think this is probably the top on my list for sure. But really on that, guys, that's really it. Definitely love to hear what you guys think of both of these two true wireless earbuds. They're pretty expensive nonetheless, but I think they should last at least a year or two. And especially from an investment standpoint, true wireless is really the way to go since headphone jacks have pretty much gone extinct on most modern devices. So investing in a high quality set of true wireless buds is pretty much going to be a very popular thing. That's why so many companies are out there trying to sell one. But in terms of the good ones, I think these two are definitely at the top. And for me, the 75Ts is my primary choice thus far. Definitely love to hear your thoughts on what you think is the best true wireless headset currently available right now. And we'll do a roundup of some of the other great options if you guys are interested. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor for making this video possible, and an even bigger shout out for you guys for supporting the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and check out the description for more details about everything we talked about, and we'll see you next time. Take care.